Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay my daughter's university fees when she plans on being a stay-at-home mom? I, 58F, have one daughter, Clara, 28F, we live in the UK. Clara never went to university because she said it wasn't for her and that it would be a waste of money. Clara is now engaged. She told me she wants to go to university now before they have kids, so she has a backup plan if something goes wrong and she is left with nothing. She said her plan is to go to university for the next 3 years studying psychology, then she'll have kids and be a stay-at-home mom immediately after she graduates and use her degree if she ever needs to. I asked why psychology, and she said it just seems like the easier degree to make a career out of. The problem here is she wants me to pay for it. I'm about to retire and I really don't want to pay for a degree that she likely won't ever use. I'm also skeptical about how useful a degree will be in the future for her if she has no experience working a job in that industry and got the degree long before she has to use it. I told her I'm not rich enough to just pay for a degree and she should have a conversation with her fiance about what they'll do if they split up after she's been a stay-at-home mom. I even suggested she and her fiance should pay for it together, but she said they'll need to save all their money towards having kids in the next few years. I said I need to save my money too, for my retirement, and I'm not wasting it on a degree she doesn't plan to use or has passion for. She said I'm being unfair to her and that I should be worried about her being left destitute if her fiancé leaves her one day. I said she should be putting all the money she makes now into an account for herself and creating savings or investments in case anything happens instead of making me spend thousands of pounds on a degree she probably won't ever use. She told me not to expect her to have me as part of her family anymore since I don't care about her future. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she has to stay home to watch the kids until she replaces the nanny she fired because I work from home? My wife Danielle, 33, has a job that requires her to go into the office every day. I, 42M, work from my home office. We have 2 children, 2 and 4. We had a nanny, Esme, whom we hired after we moved to this city for my wife's job. We do not have family in this city. Esme was with us since we got here 6 months ago. She was excellent at her job, and she was a pleasant person in general. Danielle got it into her head that Esme was going to try and get me away from her, so she fired her. It was a ridiculous assertion. I love my wife, but she insisted. She then proceeded to kibosh any nanny that the agency sent, even the male one, because she thought it was weird to have a male nanny. She wants me to watch the kids since I'm home anyway. I said that there was no way that was happening. I bring home 65% of our income and I cannot watch the kids and work. I have dealt with this temporarily by inviting my parents to stay with us so they can watch the kids. Danielle hates this. She likes my folks, but she doesn't like having them here 100% of the time. However, neither her mom nor dad are able to help. I told her that if she wants my parents to go home, she either has to replace our nanny or she has to stay home to watch the kids. She says that I'm an a-hole for devaluing her work and expecting her to watch the kids because she's the woman. I'm not. I just think she created this situation and it's her responsibility to deal with it. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I could pay her salary to be a stay-at-home mom? Hi, my wife and I have 4 children. They're all under 5 and both my wife and I are late 30s. Our youngest is now 6 months old and my wife already talks about going back to work. I don't want her to. She is a great mom, and when she is home, everything is just amazing, and she is happy and not stressed out, and the children are happy. When she goes back to work, she is still a great mom, but she is stressed out, tired, and in a bad mood. So, I said no this time. I don't want her to go back to work. She got very upset and started talking about her life and independence. I told her that neither she nor I are independent anymore since we are a team and have small children to take care of. And if she means financial independence, I could pay her salary and even double it if she wants. I make good money now and I can afford it. She got even more angry and called me a douchebag. I don't think I did anything wrong, so I told her that if she wanted to go back to work, then I don't want to be with her anymore because I'm not happy with all the unnecessary stress. I want a divorce. She started crying. It usually works on me, but not this time. Now a few weeks later she said she agreed to my terms, but now she is very distant and cold towards me. If I don't speak to her, she could go days and weeks without even looking my way. She leaves the flowers I get her every week on the counter rather than be happy, kiss me, and put them in vases around the apartment like she used to. She doesn't touch any of the food I bring her that she loves, like cakes and chocolate, etc. There's just no glow around her, and we haven't been together in an intimate way since. She doesn't let me touch her altogether, not only intimately.
Am I the a-hole for not being happy that my little sister is getting married? I, 28F, am not happy for my little sister, 19F, getting married. We don't have any family left other than a distant uncle who lives across the country and couldn't care less about us. I have tried to be the best role model I could be for her since we lost our only parent so young, but I feel like I failed. My little sister met this cook at the restaurant she works at, and I don't care what he does for a living, it has nothing to do with that, but he's 39. He is 39 years old and just put a ring on my 19-year-old little sister's finger. I met him once before and I didn't realize he was that old, to be honest. He looks good for his age. But I also didn't think they would end up together, so I didn't think to press on it. She is constantly dating all these men, probably to make up for her severe daddy issues that I also have, but we don't need to get into that. I feel terrible because my sister was so excited to tell me she's engaged, and I just flipped out on her. I told her how disgusting it is that he is an old man and that she wouldn't be able to live her life the way she wants to with a guy like that. She left my house crying and won't answer me. It has been 2 weeks. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for brushing off my neighbor's complaints about my child chalking around the neighborhood? I live in kind of a fancy pants neighborhood, and it's a pretty stark contrast to my own person. I'm heavily tattooed and self-made, pretty down to earth, I'd say. Most of the people living here, on the other hand, were born into wealthy families and are complete snobs, except for the guy across the street. Shout out to David if you're reading this. I was enjoying my week off today as the doorbell rang. I opened up and there they stood, the three stooges. Some neighbors gathered to complain about my kid. They were less than pleased with him drawing with chalk around the streets and onto their perimeter walls. He didn't enter any properties, just drew from the sidewalk. The chalk is normal grocery store chalk and washes off extremely easily. If it's not thickly applied, you can even somewhat blow it off. One rain and it's gone, none of the color stains, nothing stays behind. They kept on ranting, and I couldn't contain my chuckling. I usually am pretty strict, but this was just hilarious to me. 3 grown men complaining about a kid drawing flowers and such with chalk. They threatened to get the police involved. I told them that I'd love to laugh and chit-chat about these completely hysterical complaints with an officer. After that, I basically laughed them off the porch. As for my kid, I'll definitely not discipline him for going out there and being a kid, not causing damage or harm, but just chalking some very short-lived doodles. I'm sadder for the bitter stooges who can't enjoy a child's drawings. If any of their kids were to draw onto my front porch even, I'd sit down with them and ask them about their cool little drawings and listen to them explaining their little worlds to me. Am I going crazy? Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for not giving my engagement ring to dead fiance's family? I'll start at the beginning, about 4 years ago. I was engaged to John. After dating for 4 years. When he proposed, the ring he used was 2 sizes too big. We went to the store that he bought it from 2 weeks before proposing, and he kept the receipt. We got the right size and kept same style. We did plan to have a wedding after 3 years of planning and saving. Unfortunately, 10 months after the proposal, John passed away in a car accident. I used the savings for the wedding to pay for his funeral. The day after the funeral, John's brother came to me asking for the ring. I asked why. His response was that the ring had been passed down their family for 5 generations. I told him that was BS, because I have proof that the ring was bought for me less than a year ago. We argued for a bit and he then stormed out. Then I get the calls from John's family, saying I'm a liar and demanding the ring. Then I got a letter from their lawyer. In the letter they also demanded that I reimburse them for costs of John's funeral. So, I got myself a lawyer, showed the proof about the ring and that I paid for the funeral in court, and I won. I thought that madness was over until John's sister recently messaged me that she and her boyfriend are engaged, but haven't gotten her ring and she wants John's ring. After I said no, she went crazy and is messaging me nonstop demanding I do. I have blocked her over and over, but she finds a way around it. I was having brunch with my friend, my phone was on the table, a message from his sister popped up and my friend saw it. My friend knows about everything, except for the sister's messages. I explained about her messages. Friend believes I'm an a-hole and I should give her the ring. She told my other friends and they are all saying the same thing. Now I'm doubting myself. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for leaving $600 worth of groceries in my cart and walking out of Walmart? My wife was at an appointment, so I decided I would take my 3-year-old son grocery shopping. We spent over an hour going up and down every aisle and gathered all that we needed. I walk up to the front and there isn't a single teller open, only self-checkout. There are 8 slots in the self-checkout. All of them were full and there were over 10 people waiting in line, for carts were heaping just like mine. Everyone was looking around aghast, sighing heavily. I waited about 10 minutes and estimated I would be there another 45 minutes minimum. I started wondering how to do a teller's job regarding pricing asparagus, green onions, etc. I felt rage coming on because I knew I was going to leave my wife sitting while we waited, so I took my kid out of the cart and walked away, leaving the heaping cart sitting there. My sister and my wife said it was dirty for me to not stick it out because all the meat in the cart can't be put back on the shelves per Walmart policy. Am I an a-hole? Am I the a-hole for cutting in line when getting off a plane? I had a flight yesterday that got delayed, so I had a really tight window to make my connecting flight, like less than 10 minutes. I knew I was going to basically need to just sprint off the plane, directly to my next gate. Unfortunately, my seat was in the very, very back of the small plane. As soon as the seatbelt light turned off, I jumped out of my seat with my bag and moved toward the front of the plane as fast as I could. I didn't shove anyone out of the way, but I did ask to squeeze by a few people, apologizing and explaining that I had a very tight connection. Everyone was willing to let me get through. Once I got to the door, some guy behind me started yelling that I should just wait my turn since there's lots of people with tight connections. I explained that I didn't really have time to compare everyone's schedules, but he maintained that I was being an a-hole and should have just waited my turn. Am I the a-hole? Is this some unwritten rule of plain etiquette I didn't know about? I would understand if I was shoving people aside or cutting people who were waiting, but I don't see what's wrong with moving forward in an empty aisle.